What if you had to pick one player to define an entire NFL franchise? One name, one legacy, one all-time great who became the soul of the team. From modern superstars to overlooked icons, today we're going deep, one franchise at a time, to name the greatest player in the history of all 32 NFL teams. This is more than stats. This is identity. Every NFL franchise has its legends. The faces you see in murals, the names whispered in locker rooms, the players whose greatness didn't just lift a team, it shaped a culture. But how do you pick just one? It's not always about the most talented, or the most popular, or the one with the most rings. Sometimes, it's the one who stood tallest when it mattered most. Today, we're putting the debate to rest and honoring the most defining player in each team's history. And if you love NFL deep dives that spark real football debates, subscribe now and turn on notifications so you never miss a story that hits this hard. Let's get into it, from the youngest franchises to the oldest dynasties. 32nd, Houston Texans, Andre Johnson. You can't tell the story of the Texans without Andre Johnson. He was the lone superstar during their formative years, racking up 13,597 receiving yards, often with subpar quarterbacks. Dominant, durable, dignified. He was Houston football for a decade. 31st Jacksonville Jaguars, Maurice Jones-Drew. You could argue for Fred Taylor, but MJD carried bad Jaguars teams with power, agility, and fire. In 2011, he led the league in rushing, despite no help. Undersized, but unstoppable, he gave Jacksonville something to believe in. 30, Carolina Panthers, Steve Smith Sr. Nobody played angrier or harder than Steve Smith. A 5'9" receiver with ice in his veins, Smith leads the Panthers all time in every receiving stat and never backed down from a fight or a cornerback. The ultimate alpha. 29th, Cleveland Browns, Jim Brown. The prototype, the icon, the myth. In just 9 seasons, Jim Brown led the league in rushing 8 times, won 3 MVPs, and walked away while still dominant. To this day, he's the standard for running back greatness. 28th, Cincinnati Bengals, Anthony Munoz. The greatest offensive tackle ever. Most would say yes. Munoz was a 9-time All-Pro and the anchor of the Bengals' best teams in the 1980s. He's the rare offensive lineman who was the face of a franchise. 27th, Atlanta Falcons, Julio Jones. In his prime, Julio was uncoverable. From 2014 to 2019, he averaged over 100 yards per game. He made impossible catches look routine and was the engine of Atlanta's high-flying offense during their Super Bowl run. 26, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Derrick Brooks. You could go Brady, but he was just a visitor. Derrick Brooks was a career Buck, a Defensive Player of the Year, and the emotional core of one of the greatest defenses ever. Smart, fast, violent, and beloved. 25th, Detroit Lions, Barry Sanders. Some say the most talented runner ever. Barry made defenders look like fools on a weekly basis, and he did it behind one of the worst offensive lines in football. He walked away early, but never lost a step. 24, Los Angeles Chargers, LaDainian Tomlinson. LT wasn't just a highlight machine, he was a touchdown machine. He scored 31 touchdowns in 2006, won MVP, and became the definition of a modern running back. Powerful, elusive, and a threat through the air. 23rd, Arizona Cardinals, Larry Fitzgerald. Quiet greatness. Larry Fitz played 17 seasons, amassed 17,492 receiving yards, and was a model of professionalism. He was the Cardinals through losing years and a magical Super Bowl run. 22nd Minnesota Vikings, Alan Page. Yes, you could say Moss or Peterson, but Alan Page won MVP as a defensive tackle. He anchored the Purple People Eaters, defined a defensive era, and later became a judge. Football brilliance and civic legacy. 21st, Chicago Bears, Walter Payton. Sweetness. He ran with violence, grace, and heart, accumulating 16,726 rushing yards and redefining the position. His legacy is so deep, the NFL's Man of the Year award bears his name. 20, Buffalo Bills, Bruce Smith. Before Von Miller, before Aaron Donald, there was Bruce Smith. He's the NFL's all-time sack leader with 200, a two-time Defensive Player of the Year, and the cornerstone of Buffalo's 4 straight Super Bowl runs. He didn't just pressure quarterbacks, he terrorized them. And even in defeat, Bruce Smith gave Buffalo dominance. 19th, New York Jets, Joe Namath. Is he the best player in Jets history? Not statistically, but in terms of impact? No contest. Broadway Joe didn't just win Super Bowl III, he guaranteed it. He gave a franchise identity, swagger, and national relevance. Namath was a quarterback, a myth, and a media machine. 18. Washington Redskins, Darrell Green. He wasn't just fast, he was legendary fast. Darrell Green played 20 seasons at cornerback and was elite in nearly all of them. He won 2 Super Bowls, shut down top receivers, and represented class and consistency on and off the field. You don't play corner for 2 decades unless you're truly one of one. 17. Seattle Seahawks, Steve Largent. Before the 12s, before Legion of Boom, there was Largent, the original Seahawk. He retired as the NFL's all-time leader in catches, yards, and touchdowns. He wasn't fast, wasn't tall, wasn't flashy. He was just better, every single week. Largent turned precision into greatness, and he made Seattle believe. 16. Indianapolis Colts, Peyton Manning. This is easy. 5 times MVP, Super Bowl champion, 54,828 passing yards as a Colt, and one of the most cerebral, dominant quarterbacks the league has ever seen. Peyton didn't just win, he built the Colts into a powerhouse. Every audible, every throw, every win, Manning was in full control. 15. Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes. Too soon? Nope, it's already undeniable. 2-time NFL MVP, 3 Super Bowl appearances, 2 titles, and already one of the greatest postseason QBs ever. In just 6 seasons, Mahomes has rewritten expectations and made the Chiefs a dynasty. And he's not done. 14. New York Giants, Lawrence Taylor, the most disruptive defender in football history. LT changed the game, literally. Offensive schemes were rebuilt because of him. 10 Pro Bowls, 2-time Super Bowl champion, NFL MVP in 1986 as a linebacker. When Taylor was on the field, quarterbacks looked scared, and with good reason. 13. Denver Broncos, John Elway. Nobody carried more pressure or more comeback wins than John Elway. He took the Broncos to 5 Super Bowls, won 2, and retired a champion. His arm strength, mobility, and clutch gene made him one of the most feared QBs in history. More than anyone, Elway was the Denver Broncos. 12th. Miami Dolphins, Dan Marino. He never won a ring, but he changed the league. Dan Marino threw for over 5,000 yards and 48 touchdowns in 1984, before most quarterbacks could even break 30. His release was lightning. His swagger was Miami. He's the greatest quarterback to never win it all, and the most defining player the Dolphins ever had. 11. Philadelphia Eagles, Reggie White, the Minister of Defense. Reggie White had 124 sacks in 8 seasons with Philly. He could bull rush, he could finesse, he could dominate in any scheme. He's one of the most feared defenders to ever live, and Philadelphia's ultimate warrior. 10. Houston Oilers, Earl Campbell. You could make a case for Derrick Henry, but Earl Campbell was different. He ran with rage and purpose, trucking defenders like bowling pins. A 3-time rushing champion and 1979 MVP, Campbell was a force of nature and the spiritual identity of the Houston Oilers and early Titans franchise. Toughness defined him. Pain never stopped him. He was power football. 9th, Las Vegas Raiders, Marcus Allen. Ken Stabler brought swagger. Bo Jackson brought mystique. But Marcus Allen brought greatness, consistently, repeatedly, and in the biggest moments. Super Bowl MVP, 12,243 rushing yards. Highlight reel runs that live forever. He defined the Raiders' commitment to excellence, even when the franchise itself didn't. 8. Los Angeles Rams, Eric Dickerson. Yes, Marshall Faulk was electric, but Eric Dickerson was iconic. He still holds the single-season rushing record, 2,105 yards, a mark untouched since 1984. Tall, upright, smooth, and deadly, Dickerson made running look effortless. When you saw the goggles, you knew what time it was. 7. Green Bay Packers, Brett Favre. Yes. Bart Starr has the rings. Aaron Rodgers has the stats. But Brett Favre was Green Bay. The gunslinger, the Iron Man, the heart-on-his-sleeve quarterback who brought the Packers back from irrelevance. 3-time NFL MVP, Super Bowl champion, 297 straight starts. Favre made Sundays in Wisconsin must watch again. 6. Baltimore Ravens, Ray Lewis. When you think of the Ravens, you think of defense. When you think of defense, you think of Ray Lewis. He was the emotional spine of the franchise. He won 2 Super Bowls, a Super Bowl MVP, and redefined what it meant to be a leader. On every snap, you knew where Ray was, and so did the quarterback. 5th, Dallas Cowboys, Emmitt Smith, the NFL's all-time leading rusher and the heart of a dynasty. Emmitt Smith rushed for over 18,000 yards, won 3 Super Bowls, and delivered in the playoffs every single time. Was he flashy? Nope. Was he fast? Not really. But he ran with patience, vision, and championship DNA. He's the blueprint for winning football. 4th, Pittsburgh Steelers, Mean Joe Green. The Steel Curtain had many greats, but Mean Joe Green was the core. He brought fear, force, and championships to Pittsburgh. 4-time Super Bowl champion, 2 times Defensive Player of the Year, the face of the most dominant defense ever assembled. He was more than a Coke commercial. He was the definition of intimidation. 3rd, San Francisco 49ers, Jerry Rice. No debate. Jerry Rice is the greatest wide receiver in NFL history, and arguably the greatest football player, period. 1,549 receptions, 22,895 receiving yards, 208 touchdowns, 3 Super Bowls, and a work ethic that still echoes in NFL locker rooms. He didn't just set records, he set the standard. 2. New England Patriots, Tom Brady. This one's automatic. 6 Super Bowls with the Patriots, 3 MVPs, 17 division titles, and 2 decades of dominance. Tom Brady took the Patriots from a punchline to a global powerhouse. He's the GOAT and New England's forever king. 1. New Orleans Saints, Drew Brees. Before Drew Brees, the Saints had paper bags over their fans' heads. After Brees, a Super Bowl, a rebirth, a legacy. 80,358 passing yards, 7 times 5,000-yard seasons. Super Bowl MVP, face of the city during Hurricane Katrina recovery. He didn't just throw touchdowns, he gave a city hope and became the most beloved athlete in Louisiana history. 32 teams, 32 legends, and 1,000 stories behind every name. Some were born into greatness, some had to fight for it. But all of them became the heartbeat of their franchises and left the kind of legacy that numbers can't always capture. Now it's your turn. Drop a comment and tell us who your pick is for the greatest in your team's history. Who did we miss? Who deserves more love? And if you live for football debates, emotional deep dives, and stories the media forgets, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so you never miss a video. This is where football lives. This is where greatness is remembered. We'll see you in the next one.